Hello everybody. Welcome to my very first live stream here on YouTube on how to attract the one. It is super exciting for me, and I am a little bit nervous, but I think it's going to be amazing. And this live stream is going to be about half an hour. If you all have a lot of questions, then it might be a little bit longer than half an hour, but all in all, probably half an hour. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Melanie Josephine. I am the author of Rock Your Au Pair Year, and I am also the author of Love Life Simplified. But today we are not talking about my books. We are talking about how you can attract the one, which is super exciting topic. And some of you have already sent me your questions, which is super cool. So let me just quickly explain how it's going to go today. I think everybody's just joining. It's only 7 o'clock now. And the way I'm going to start the topic, for everybody who is joining now, hello, welcome, and feel free to pop your questions into the chat, and I'm going to have a look at it. But the way I'm going to do it today, with this topic. So there are 3 steps for how you can attract the one. And the way I'm going to do this live stream is I'm going to talk about the first step, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit on it. And then I'm going to take a few questions. And then I am going to tell you a little bit more about the second step. So I can see that a couple of people have joined. If you could please write in the chat and tell me if you can hear and see me okay, because nobody has messaged me in the live chat yet. I'm just gonna write in there. And if somebody, okay, Amy's letting me know. Melanie, very nice to see you. Oh, hello, Marcella. All right, so exciting to see you. So yes, feel free to pop your questions in there. Amazing. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with the first point, and then, like I said, after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about your questions. All right. So the first step to attracting the one, maybe one that you have already heard about, but maybe you would like to know a little bit more. So the first step of attracting the one is writing your list. And I think most of you probably have heard about writing the list. However, it's not so much that you just write like a random list and then you throw it in the bin and that's it, and he'll just appear. It is not as easy as that. So, it's very important to be very specific and detailed and connected to your list. So I want to give you a little bit insight on my personal story. So I used to believe that if I write my list, it should not be too long, and if it's long, then it means that I'm demanding, and it's not possible that this guy is out there the way that I would describe him. So literally, I would always write the list, and I would just write like 3 or 4 or maybe a maximum of 5 things on there. But it would be so general that literally that could have been any guy. But how is the universe supposed to know what sort of guy you really want when you're not being specific? So I've only had this big breakthrough last year in April when I went to be crew at UPW at Tony Robbins' event, because I met a girl who attracted her husband with the law of attraction. And I just asked her all the questions. So she actually finally clarified for me that it is so important to be so specific, and your list can just, like, the longer the list, the better, because the more specific you are, the easier it is for the universe to bring the person to you. So what you need to do, my suggestion is that you first write all the qualities and values you're looking for in a person. And then the next step is to think about all sorts of different situations and how your partner would react or behave in those situations, especially in regards to you. Like, how would they behave with you? How do you want to be treated? How do you want to see yourself with that partner? And what I've found very, very helpful is that I started the list and then I kept adding to it. And I think I was done with the list after a couple of days, maybe a maximum of a week, but then I was really done with it. But don't think you have to have all the insight in one day. You can give yourself some time and just keep adding to it. And another really, really good tip is that you reflect on your past relationships and think about what you liked about your past relationship, and think about what you didn't like about your past relationships, because especially the things that you liked can be clues to what you can put on your list, and the things obviously that you don't like can be no-goes, but you don't really need to write them down. I feel like I've been talking a lot, so this is the first point. I want to take some questions now, and like I said, you can write them in the chat. However, I have also received some questions prior this chat, and I think the first question that I'm going to take is my friend Tegan from Australia. I think she's not joined in because I think it's in the middle of the night in Australia. Anyhow, I'm sure you're watching this, the recording, because I'm going to upload the recording when I finish. And Tegan said, how much work is it energetically? How much work is going into putting yourself out there? So you know what? It's such an interesting question, because I get this all the time, that people say, oh, I don't really have the time to put into this, or I don't have the energy to put into this. And it's actually funny that the way that she said it, how much work and how much energy, as if you could like measure it, like, yeah, this much energy or this much energy. And I'm not criticizing you, Tegan. It's just funny because it is kind of implicating that it is going to be something that will be heavy on your mind, something that you will have to that is something that you add to your to-do list that you have to then cross off. But the truth really is, it is something, it is an energy that when you bring this energy into your life, it will also be beneficial to all the other parts in your life, because it is not an energy like going for a run, or it's not an energy like going for work at the office and then you're completely tired. It's not like that. The energy that you invest in attracting your partner is energy that will then awaken you, will make you happier, energy that you will that'll just make all of the other parts of your life easier. It is not a dragging energy. It is a very warm, loving, positive energy. But I really, really love the question. But feel free to ask a few more questions. I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to talk about the second step to attracting the one. So the second question, and the second question is from Amy. And Amy, I really, really love this question, and I think a lot of people have it. She said, what happens if somebody ticks all the boxes, but you don't feel the spark? Would you try to make it work? It's such a good question. So when you write your list, make sure you're writing down the person that is bringing a spark to you, that is a fascinating person to you, a person to love, a person that generates a warm and fuzzy feeling. So let's say you, so I must explain. So a spark is a feeling. So if you meet the person and they tick all the boxes, however, you don't feel the spark, then you can only blame yourself because you've done your list wrong. If you don't feel the spark, if you meet the person who ticks all the boxes, then you must have written a lot of really boring things. But so I find this interesting because sometimes we put things on our list. Doesn't even have to be the partner list, can also be the career list or like whatever list in your life. We sometimes put things on there because we are very conditioned by society, by our parents, by what people want from us. And sometimes we can be so conditioned that we actually think that this is what we want. Like I went to the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, and we had to create a mind movie. And at some point during the retreat, I went to my team leader and I said, I think I'm realizing that some of the things I put on in my mind movie that's actually not what I really want. I mean, not all of the things, but some of the things. And so you have to be really, really reflective and really going deep within yourself and asking yourself who you really want to be with. And really, you can try all these thoughts on because feelings are created by our thoughts. So when we write something on our list, we can ask ourselves, okay, how does that thought make me feel? And if none of the things that are on your list make you feel a spark, then you still have some work to do on your list. But yeah, amazing question. Okay, I'm going to go back to to step 2 of how to attract the one. So after you've written the list, you've done it all, it's completed. It's very, very important to stay connected to the list, but not too attached. And there's a very, very fine difference here. If you stay connected, that means you are fully aware of what you want. You know you deserve it. You know all the little details of your list at all times. They have sunk into your subconscious mind. However, you are not so attached that you feel that you need this person immediately, that you are attached kind of comes with a desperate vibe. So all you need to be is connected and believe that he's going to come into your life. So how can you do that? I mean, it's definitely easier said than done. So you can stay connected so what I've done in the past, last year, I have written, so my list, I don't know, I think it was about 3 or 4 really long pages. And I wanted to read it every morning before I went to work. So I did a summary of the most crucial points from my list, and I stuck it onto my mirror. And every day before I left for work, I read that list and I made sure that was the first thing I did in that day. And then the second thing that I did, I read out the entire list and I recorded it. And then I listened to my recording every single day, at least once a day. And then the other thing that I did that is not connected to the list, only somewhat, I mean, it's all kind of connected, but what the girl that I met at UPW told me is that I should visualize my life with my partner every day for 15 minutes a day. And that is also a way to be very connected with your list, but also to, when the thing is, when you start visualizing, I'd never done it in that way before. I mean, not regularly and not something that I wanted to draw to me. So what I found was that when I let my visualization flow, that it would become more and more vivid, more and more real, and I could just see my future much more clear, as if I was just staying with my list, or if I was just thinking of my list, but really like in 3D, really seeing myself with that partner. Basically, I visualized him kind of the way I saw him, just without a face, because I didn't know what his face looked like, but situations that we would be in, or I would always visualize how we would laugh together. And these visualization really, really bring the whole thing to life, and really, really help your brain to understand what you want, and then send those signals to the universe, because our thoughts have energy. And so first, there is, I mean, when you use Brooke Castillo's model, then it's first it's a thought, then it's a feeling, then it's an action, and then there's a result. And you always find your results. Like, when you don't know what you're thinking, you just need to look around in your life and see what you've created, because that's a very good indication of what you're thinking. However, thoughts are also vibrations, and you send what you want out into the universe to have it come back to you in a form, if that makes sense. So this is, I think there's probably a couple of more things that you can do. And if you have some more ideas, definitely write in the comments below. I would be so curious if you have other ideas of how to stay connected to your list, but this is what I'm suggesting. So, okay, I'm going to take a few more questions. Please write some questions in the live chat. But I also still have some questions. Okay, I'm going to take Sarah's question. How to look for men and approach them with social distancing? I think this is an amazing question. I have even thought about it, because I was with friends recently, and I said to them, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I met my boyfriend last year, because now with social distancing, everything is so much more complicated. But there you can see, this is already the thought that you should not have. Like the thought that social distancing is going to keep you away from your guy is, I mean, when you put that in a model, then as a result, it means that social distancing is keeping you away from the guy. So what would be a better thought for you to think? You could think, especially now that things are opening up and you can go out again, you can meet people again. I mean, you don't have to immediately go very close to somebody, because you can have a chat with somebody at a distance, but you should definitely start telling yourself that social distancing or COVID has absolutely no influence on your love life, because only your thoughts and what you're creating in your own reality, that is what is important. And COVID is not an important factor in your love life. I mean, a lot of people, business owners, I know that COVID does come into, like, a lot of businesses have struggled, and it depends on the industry. But generally speaking, whatever you put as a thought will come to you in a result the more that you think about it. So think about your future wisely. Okay, I want to take another question. Oh yeah, Angela, I love this one as well. Is online dating a platform worth pursuing in finding the one? So I think this is a great question, especially because I'm not the biggest fan of online dating, but I do know that a lot of people have found love, true love, through online dating. So it is definitely not impossible. Basically, what it comes down to is what you think of it, and even more importantly, what you feel about it. So if you think that, for example, there are no good men on online dating apps, then that is going to create a negative feeling for you. And then this is not going to be helpful if you use those platforms. But in terms of attracting the one, I would advise you to, in the process of finding the one, always not just staying connected to your list, also staying very connected to your inner voice and to the universe, and to ask the universe what you should do. Because when I started my journey, I asked the universe, and the universe said to me, stay off dating websites. But I'm sure, depending on who you are and where you are in life, the universe might give you a different answer because you're a completely different person. And so, yeah, I would say ask the universe for help, ask whether you should go on dating apps, and keep in mind that whatever you're thinking is influencing your experience. I just saw, okay, it's Marcella. Lovely to hear from you. Any tips on how to be disciplined enough to do the visualization and read the list every day? Such a good question. Love it. Okay, that's the last question before I go to the next point, but then I'll take a few more questions after that. So you have to remind yourself why you're doing it. I mean, you probably heard about this book. I think it's called It Starts With Why, or I actually shouldn't have mentioned it because I don't know exactly. But you can never see anything through with pure willpower or motivation if you don't have a very deep underlying reason. So whenever you lack willpower, there are two things. One, you need to remind yourself of why you're doing this and why is this important to you. And then two, great, I just forgot it. I seriously forgot. You know what? I'm going to tell you about the third step, and then maybe I'll remember what was the other thing that I wanted to tell you, and then I'll take a few more questions. But please write the questions already. So the third step that you need to take on your journey is keep your vibration high. So my friend Judith, who, by the way, she's the one who told me about this at UPW, she called me, I can't remember, I think it was like 1, 2, or 3 weeks into my journey. She called me and she said, Melanie, I wanted to call you and remind you how important it is to keep your vibration up and high, because the more detours you take, and with detours, I mean detours into low vibration and sadness, the longer it's going to take for you to attract him. And she said to me that she thinks that it took her 10 months to attract him because of that. Now, when I say don't drift into sadness, I also don't want you to feel bad if you occasionally have a bad day, or you occasionally have a day where you're completely unmotivated, or you think, oh my gosh, this doesn't work, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now I remember the second tip. Okay, you need to... I don't know what's wrong with me. I know I forgot again. That's terrible. So I really can't remember. But how can you keep your vibration high? So you have to do things that make you happy. And except for the times that you're reading the list, you stay connected to the list, or you're listening to it, I would actually recommend trying not to think about the list on the other times of the day. Try to then just send it to the universe, let it go, and live your life. Meet friends, do things that you are passionate about, do things that excite you. Maybe do something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, like take a painting class or an acting class, or just do things to stay in the flow and keep your vibration high. And I know that's sometimes easier said than done, also meditation, but it is extremely, extremely important, because the other point that is extremely important is, apart from staying connected to the list, that you connect this list with a very powerful positive emotion. Because if you connect the list with dread or with frustration, or you look at the list and you're like, this sucks, it doesn't work, then it's not going to work. It is very, very important that you connect a very, very warm, loving, powerful feeling with your list. And when you feel that, let's say there's a day that you can't, then I would actually recommend you to take that day off and just process your emotion. It's extremely important that you process your emotion and you allow them, and you don't judge yourself. Now remember, you need to form the belief that this is all going to work. This is the other tip. So the reason think about it. The only reason you would ever stop doing what you're doing is if you are actually not really believing in it. So let's say somebody would tell you, if you do all the things that I've just told you, then in 2 months, you're definitely going to meet him, but you have to do it. Then, I'm sure most of you would do it, wouldn't you? Because you know that in 2 months' time, on that day, at that time, you're going to meet him if you do this. But just because there is this uncertainty, you don't know how long it's going to take, you don't know how it's going to happen. There's just a lot of things that you don't know. And that's why it is sometimes easy to drift into disbelief. But that is very natural. When that happens, just tell yourself that it is okay to have a bad day, to have a sad day, or to be in a little bit of disbelief, but that you're going to continue on this journey anyways. If you need more scientific backgrounds, if you think, okay, Melanie told me to write this list, do all these things, keep my vibration high, but how do I know that this actually works? What is the scientific background? I'm not going to go into the scientific background because I'm not the best person to do it. The best person to do it is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Therefore, I urge you, if you are a little bit in disbelief, read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, because his book is not about attracting the one, but it is about a law of attraction and all the science behind it. And if you are not 100% sure, you should read this book so that you can become a believer. Because I once listened to a podcast by Brooke Castillo, and she said, you know what? Belief can actually start with disbelief. And when you think about it, actually so true. If you can think about anything in your life where you first didn't believe, or you would first think, I'd never do. Like, for example, yesterday, I watched the movie Heal on Netflix. By the way, I would totally recommend it. And this girl said she studied Western medicine and she never believed in anything else but that. But then one day she came across, I don't know what exactly she came across, but she started to look into other things. And now she is totally believing about the mind-body connection and that there's more to it than what we are taught in the Western world. And therefore, disbelief can totally be the beginning of belief. And I must tell you, for me, I tried so many things before I took this seriously, but then I just said to myself, and I don't know, Amy, if you remember this, but I said this to you as well. I said, you know what? I've tried everything else. Nothing has worked. I am going to make this work. I am going to do this, and I'm just not going to stop until I have found the one. So, okay, I'm going to take a few more questions. Amy, when you think about the one, do you mean someone who fits everything on your list? Could there be more than one person who is the one? Oh my gosh, I love this question. Okay, so obviously I'm going to share my opinion. There's no evidence that what I'm saying here is absolutely true, but I'm just going to tell you what I think is true. But feel free to believe whatever you want. I think that there's definitely more than one person in the world. There's so many people in the world that fit your list. But I think what's happening when you stay connected with your list and you are radiating that list around you with those energy waves is that whoever fits that description, whoever fits that description first, you come across that person, and then you'll know it's them. But I think because, I mean, let's say you've done this work and then tomorrow you move to Australia, you're still radiating that, and then you're going to meet that person who fits that description in Australia, for sure. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more than one person. Cecile, would you read your list daily? Yes, 100%, except what I said, when you need a day off, then take a day off, because it's very important to connect with your list in a positive way and not get a negative feeling. Like, for example, I do Dr. Joe meditations regularly. However, there was a time where I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this feels like I'm just ticking the meditation off my list. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I feel like it's a dread. And then I just took time off. I think I didn't do the meditation for a week or two. And then I got back into it. And I got back into it with a positive feeling. And it's so, so important that you do that. Because the feeling is even more powerful than the thought. The thought is very, very important and powerful. But the feeling is even more important. And like I said, make sure you try those thoughts on and listen to your body and ask yourself, how does this feel? Does this feel right? Do I get this warm, fuzzy, loving feeling? Please put your last questions in here, because we're coming to the end of this live stream. Amy asked me one more question, and she said, should you try to be your best self or your normal self on dates? This is an interesting question. So you should definitely be yourself, because if you're trying to be anybody else, then you don't want this person to fall in love with somebody that you are not. So, but she said best self or normal self. And there's nothing wrong putting your best foot forward and presenting yourself in a very positive way. there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting dressed up in a very nice way and presenting yourself in a nice way, but definitely being yourself, not trying to be anybody else. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting your best foot forward. So this is the last chance to ask any questions. Gonna wait one more minute. I hope that you enjoyed today's live stream. Before you go, for anybody who's interested, I just want to tell you that there is one spot left in my program, which starts in October, and it's a 5-week program where I can coach you to transform your love life. Because just like Marcella said, any tips on discipline? It is very, very difficult to stay on track when you don't have anybody to support you. It is so easy to get to fall off track. So if you want to be the person who is getting the last spot in my program, please contact me either via Instagram or through my website. Instagram is melanie.josephine and website melaniejosephine.com. And I can help you make this process work, because I have explained the basics to you now, but in my program we would dive very, very deeply into your limiting thoughts and what's holding you back, because that's also a very big part. What are your beliefs about relationships? What are your beliefs about men, dating, all of that? And it is very important to clean that up in order to attract the one. So I don't have any more questions coming in. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining today. It was such a pleasure. It was so much fun. I want to make this a more regular thing. Let me know before you go in the live chat what other topics you would like me to cover in live streams. So I have a couple of ideas myself, but I would absolutely love to know if you have any ideas, and if Monday is a good day for a live stream. And then when I do another live stream, I'm going to let you know about it. If you want to re-watch this live stream, you can. I'm going to upload it as soon as this is finished. And I think this is all for today. Again, thank you so much. Lots and lots of love to you. And see you in my next video, or see you in my next live stream. Oh, Marika, I'm so happy you joined today. That's so cool. Awesome. Everybody, leave me a comment with suggestions for more live streams, or also if you have any other questions or video ideas. I'm totally open to that. And lots of love from London. Bye.